5. I'm a little bit early. I'm gonna keep going live when it gets 5, but sometimes I get out of here and I get working and I don't really know how much time's gone by, and sometimes stuff comes up and I can't really do it. But I'm gonna show you what I've been doing here. So you might remember, well, this brick path wasn't even here when I first burned off this area. I had one row of bricks around this section to keep fire from spreading. Well, it went all up the sides. It wasn't in the back. The back layer, I had a layer of bricks here, and I kept moving that layer further down as I burned it off. And I had mulch from here to there, all the way across. I added more mulch to that pile as time went on, and then when I got ready to plant my rye, I moved the mulch over, planted the rye. Well, I tilled it up, I tilled it up, planted the rye. I sprinkled a little bit of straw that's been in the chicken pen for probably a year to kind of hold moisture, and so that if the seeds start to get kind of washed out, they'll get stuck on, they won't just all flow to the side. They'll be, embedded in that area. I planted some bunching onions in a few places. This is where, I moved the mulch that was there into here. So this is a thicker layer. This mulch used to be from here to there, and I just took that and put it on this. So this is thicker, even less likely for weeds to get through. I think I have some bunching onions all along this row. It might just be on this side. As I've been eating oranges, I've been throwing the orange peels out here, and I've been throwing the orange seeds out here. It's not going to be warm enough for them to germinate. Maybe they'll germinate and die. I don't think so. They might sit dormant till spring. They might not come up. But I've been doing this, and it kind of gives me a few orange trees here and there. And, I've got some barley and oats in that little section there. I have, like I said, I put dirt here to get up in the steps easier. I dug that out to let water drain off. Now this area gets shaded a lot from the day, and it's on my back steps. So I'm not planning on planting anything here, because after about 3 p.m. or 2:30 to 3, all this area is shaded out anyway. So I'm starting my first row from here. The building in there, so there's sun at that side. So I'm really going to plant from here up on that hill, all back out that way, and back that way. This middle strip here, I'm going to leave for building fires. People can hang out with chairs, fire and pottery. And where I've been doing a lot of work is getting this old tarp that was dry rotting out of my little shallow pond up on a hill. If it's even, I don't even know if you could call it a pond. It's like a watering hole. I've caught 4 bullfrogs in that little shallow pond. The chickens wanted to get up in my collard greens and scratch around in them leaves and nibble at them. So I caged them off. This couldn't fit to cover them all up. It left a row there, but at least when I let the chickens out, they can't completely decimate the crop. Most things they don't mess with, and if they mess with them, it don't matter. Like they might bite a leaf off here and there and then move on to the next area. Chickens don't normally just stay in one area and eat everything down to the ground. They're not sheep. They'll just kind of pick at stuff here and there, and they eat a lot of the bugs that would eat the fruit trees, and they fertilize everything, so it's worth it. I got, that little pond liner out. I'm not putting the pond liners in yet, even though all the rain's coming, because I'm having to bail the water out, and I don't want to have more water to bail out. I'll show you over here. The tarp just is tearing all apart. It's too dry rotted, and I could not save it. But all them little metal rings in it, I'll probably sew into some type of fabric to build a teepee with later. Some of the mud that was in the tarp, I just threw in the hole. I'll probably dig it back out, but it was just weighing the tarp down too much. I wish I had Brittany out here to hold the camera so I could stand in here and really see the size of this. Anyway, I went ahead and rolled this tarp out because when it does, if it does rain, I don't want to catch the water right now. I'm trying to get all the water out of here, get this pond liner out of here, and dig that middle section out and dig that deepest part and that deepest part back there, get that in a trench that lines up, stretch it. Anyway, I'm just going to carve all this out and relay my pond liner in the area. I don't know if I'm moving this camera too fast, sorry about that. I might cut all this out all the way here and then have a lower spot out there and put my pond liner out there and just have all this valley collect water and flow out there. Or I might keep it where it's at, I don't know. My wheelbarrow tire is flat. I gotta get air pumped in it, or moving all this dirt's gonna be a mess. So yesterday I went ahead and finished getting this out. I did an update video where it was still in there, but then I went back to working and I got all the water and mud out of it, and then I pulled the tarp and a little bit of mud out today, but it was because it got dark, but it was pretty much finished yesterday. You know, now that I've gotten the out there in the woods, everything done, I want to work on this project, and it's late fall, and I want to get, you know, this is a lot of, I don't know, hundreds of gallons. I don't know how many times I put 5-gallon buckets and those in there before I finally got that water out. And when I got all of it to drop from the edge and be in that little hole in the middle, I was thinking, it just looks like, if you look with your eye at a 5-gallon bucket in the hole, the hole holds so much more water than it looks like it will hold. I don't know, I guess every time you put water on top of water, the pressure of the water makes it more dense. I don't know. It's just, when it looks like you got 5 gallons of water left in the hole and you're like, okay, I'm going to stick this bucket in here and I'm going to pull it out. And then you do that 20 times and the water's still there. It's like, where is this water coming from? So I've pulled this back so when it rains here, that rain can just go up under there. I ain't trying to collect it all now. When I get this leveled out and get the pond liner put in here and get the edges more even, it'll hold more water probably with this pond liner than the pond liner in tarp was holding together anyway, because the pond liner was so high up on this side and low on that side, so it never really, I wasn't getting all out of the pond liner that I could get out of the pond liner. And the mosquito fish, as I find them, I'm just putting them in these buckets so that when we've got a lot of rain supposed to come in at the end of this week and in the next few weeks, so it'll fill back up pretty fast. But I have watered a lot out there, a lot of these trees and bushes, and I'm gonna, once I get all that water emptied out and get that pond liner set up, the next task is I'm gonna be going into the woods a lot and gathering mulch and remulching all my fruit trees. Now I had some peach trees that I did not know if they had died above the root graft or not. And so I kept watering them and taking care of them, and some of them did and some of them didn't. And I'm going to show that to you. Now, I'm not going to just dig up the tree because it died above the root graft. I'm going to regraft other varieties. Here's one where, you know, it looked, you know, this was here and it started growing suckers out below the root graft. And normally I would cut them off, but this was so dried up, I didn't know if it was dead or not. And if it was alive, I was going to cut this part out. You know, I'm talking about, but it was dead. This spring, summer, this part of the branch never made any shoots or anything. So I didn't cut this part out, and I'm glad I didn't cut it out. So this part here, I'm going to cut this middle part, or probably not that one because that crosses and gets shaded by that one. This one will get cut out. But those four, I'll train these to thicken up, and I'll graft 4 different fruit varieties into this peach tree because a peach needs another variety to cross with to be fertile. So there's other trees around that it can do that with, but even better if I've got 4 different varieties right here, they can cross-pollinate with one another. I may keep one of the rootstock to see the quality of the fruit, and I'm going to make some hybrids. And it can be kind of, you might get a lot of things you have to cull out to get the right one, but there could be some advantage to crossing the rootstock with a fruiting kind, and I might not need a graft. I might get both qualities in the next generation. This one right here, this stick looked dead, but still I kept it because I didn't know it might be alive. And you know, I'm talking about last winter when I was looking at these, deciding what to do. But see, it's got a living branch right here. So what I'll do with this one is I'm going to cut all these out. All these suckers that are, you know. But if I didn't know if this was dead or alive, I didn't want to cut these away, and I wanted it to keep making nutrients for the rootstock, because I can regraft this variety. I think this is a Houston right here. All these peach trees I have multiple of, so I can just, if it dies above the graft, I can graft that fruit variety back into it. None of the rest of them, well, there is a few down that way, but most all of these peach trees, they lived. And you know, I'll come in, and now you're not supposed to open center prune an apple tree. They're on a center ladder system, but I'm kind of doing an experiment with this one just because I wanted it to make more suckers at the bottom, or more branches, because I'm going to cut them off and root new trees from it. And I'll train this one back on a center leader later. So I've been just walking back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, watering everything. I didn't want to pump any water out of the pond. It just holds so much water on them new water holes that I've dug up there that I'm pretty much able to water everything I got off of that. So I don't have to tax the pond so much. I got more water going into the pond than's ever went into it. And I'm not having to pull water out of the pond anymore. So here's that magnolia tree. Took a branch off the magnolia tree house and bent it to go up under the ground and got it to root, and then cut it off of the tree. And I got a magnolia tree here. And it's a good shade tree. And I think in the future, it's in a good spot. I'll let my chickens out. They'll be able to, it might become a problem. They might get in the tree and not want to get out of the tree. Now I got some more chickens from Granny, and she's had a lot of back surgery, and her back's hurting, and it's getting harder for her to take care of her chickens. And some of her chickens, they didn't have straw, and they got like a lot of manure in their pen, and some of it got stuck to their toes and made like hard like a brick. Had to break it away from them. And they don't have any grit in her pen or anything to really scratch around at. And some of them have long twisted fingernails, and I'll clip their fingernails. One of them was raised with quail and hasn't bonded with it. Didn't come in, it was by itself, and it will make a sound sometimes like it's trying to copy the quail sound every time the roosters crow, but it's a hen. It's just raised by quail. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. I'm not letting them out because until the grain sprouts, because they are just determined to go in there and dig up all the grain and eat it. So this is what I'm talking about, the twisted toes. Look at them twisting up like a ram's horn. When they go to sleep on the roost at night, I'm gonna trim their fingernails. This new rooster, I don't know if maybe I got this coffee cup in my hand, and they think I got food in it. Where the rooster's hiding somewhere. I come in here sometimes and stop them from bullying them. I need to get them some clean water. But the new hens, they still hang with the rooster that they come in with, even though he loses all the fights. Let's get out of the pen. See, when I was tilling up the soil, this grass and grass roots and everything, I'm just putting it in here. I took the old stuff out. To go into the garden, and because it's soaked with, it's got more nitrogen in it, and it's broken down to where it's quicker to rot and break down. And then the new areas I've tilled up, I have just added them. Anyway, I'm gonna get out the pen. But they're in time. I need them to become one flock because they're kind of like three flocks. They're the original 10 chickens. There's 7 of them, 1 rooster and 6 hens that are like a flock, and then there's the one that was raised by quail. And they bond together. If they go to sleep on the roost and wake up together enough times, they'll start seeing themselves as one flock. And if they eat together. And the hens have tried to kind of fight and not let the new hens eat, but the roosters break up all the hen fights. The roosters don't want the hens fighting. The roosters want all the new hens in the flock. The hens don't. The hen, that's competing with nesting areas. That's competing with fertility. You know, they won't be bred as often for fertility if there's more hens to compete with. So the hens don't like the new hens, but the roosters do. The roosters want them to get along, but they don't like the new rooster. And see that that's not the new rooster. But ever since there's been a new rooster in here, the dominant rooster, that's the dominant rooster right there. He's the boss. He feels the need to exert his authority on all the roosters a little more to let them know he's still the boss. Used to, they never fight with him ever. Every rooster just backs off. They don't challenge him. They will fight each other for the number 2 space, but that's definitely the boss rooster. The new rooster is probably under that pallet hiding. That's where he normally is. He just stays hidden. And I would just eat him because he's an extra rooster, but he's just so beautiful. His feathers are so beautiful. And he's all muscled up. He ain't got no friends or allies. And he's by himself. I think after he gets another set of feathers and he's accepted into the flock, he'll probably fight and raise in the ranks more than, I don't think he'll stay the bottom rooster. He might though. But you see, you don't want your chickens too inbred, but you also don't need infinite roosters. And I might start pairing them off. I might start separate. It's easier and more convenient for me to have one flock that I can let loose, that they'll go put themselves back up in the pen together, that they can roam around and get along with each other without fighting. And it's convenient to have one flock. But I could split it into 6 different little flocks. Give each rooster 2 hens. And then what I like to do is I like to have a rooster with a set of hens over here and a rooster with a set of hens over there. And then let their children breed with each other, where they're not so inbred. They've got different fathers, different mothers. So I've piled up just different dead wood and just different wood. I'm piling up here. That's going to be garden too, but it's easy to get to it. It's far enough away from where I'm firing clay that it's not going to catch on fire. and it's close enough. It's easy for me to gather for firewood, and it's slightly shading out what's under it till I get ready to get to that point and till it up. And I've just been doing it little by little because I've got time. You know, I just got to get it done before spring. And I think I put those other 2 pieces of pottery in the building. I built a new bowl that's the shape of it's better. It uses the exact same amount of clay as the old one, but it holds more. And I knew I should let it dry out for another 2 days. I rushed it. I thought, well, maybe I can just dry it fast by the fire and all. But I rushed it and it cracked in the bottom, and I sealed it up with pitch tar, and I'll use it for something else. I don't know what. I'll use it for, see, this one here uses the same amount of clay as this one here, but the walls are thinner, dry out. And instead of making bowls like this, I'll probably start making them like this. But I knew I shouldn't have rushed it. I knew it would crack if I did that. I don't know why I done anything. I was just not feeling very patient that day. Well, let's see. But hello to everybody that said hey. And hello to y'all. And I'm probably not, what time is it? It's 5:16. I do want to bail out some more water and try to get it empty before this rain comes in. I need to check the weather. And when I get done mulching around every single tree and every single plant, then I'll start mulching all the ground in between them. When you walk up these paths, everywhere you walk, it wears like a little trench. And even before the trench is wore down, the ground is compacted and the grass is stomped down where it's higher on the other sides. And so I'm walking all these trips from here to get water and there to get water. You know, that both of those goes to where the water is. It just depends on if I'm watering these trees, it's shorter distance to go this way. If I'm watering these trees, it's a shorter distance to go this way. And I get water from that, and I get water from the pond. So it starts to make almost like the shape of a river, you know, with different branches, right? And then when it rains, water flows down those trails from the high ground to the low ground and naturally spreads out and starts to water plants. And I like to plant in these little triangle patterns because for multiple reasons. Now it doesn't matter, but in the early days, me and Brittany had a little bit of different disagreements on how much money I should spend on fruit trees. And I noticed that she was less likely to notice if I bought some more fruit trees if I put them in these triangle kind of chaotic patterns. And another reason is it does something to the mind. If I planted them all in straight rows, you could walk down a straight row and not have to make a conscious decision. And but this way you have to make a conscious decision. Do I go left? Do I go right? And it just does, when everything's blooming and the fruit's there, people don't really notice it, but it does something. It does something for the mind to just, I don't know. I know what I'm talking about, but I don't know how to really explain it. But it gives a different feel to walking through a garden than if it was just squares and straight rows and everything. What am I doing? I'm going live. If I've been telling people I was going to start going live at 5 and I decided to do it, I saw when I took a break that it was about that time. And I'm mostly watering fruit trees. I'm watering plants and I'm getting the water out of this pond liner so I can dig out the dam between these two sections and lay the pond liner here. Basically, that tarp's been in there for a year or two. When was Hurricane Helene? That's when we got that tarp. So it's been about a year, and the sun's got on it, and it's dry rotting, and I'm taking it out and just rebuilding this rainwater collection area. And it's so tempting to want to just take this water in buckets and just dump it in them holes and get it empty real fast and move it and start digging it rather than carrying it. But it's a waste of water. I'm not going to do it. I'm harvesting this water and watering all the trees with it. I'm actually about to get back to work. Yeah, I know I didn't go live for very long to just go live for 20 minutes, but I might go live when I get done watering some more when it starts to get dark or something. I think Brittany will be, I got to pick Brittany up at 7. It's 5:20. I got to get back to work, y'all. But this is an update. And y'all have a good day.